Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about chapter agriculture. This is a 8th class geography chapter. This chapter is very important for all competitive exams and also for students who are studying in 8th standard. See, for any human being to survive, he needs some basic things. What are those basic things? Is air, water, food and shelter. See, most of these you get from naturally, but you need money, right? You need money to earn food. If you need money, you have to do economic activities. To earn money, you have to do economic activities. Generally, these economic activities are organized, grouped into 3 major types. What are those 3 major types in which these economic activities are organized under? One is primary, secondary and tertiary. See, here they have given that there are 3 types of economic activities: primary, secondary and tertiary activities. Let us see what is this primary activities. These primary activities usually include all those activities which are connected with extraction and production of natural resources. This term is very important. What is the term? Natural resources. These primary economic activities are involved with the extraction and production of natural resources. What are some examples under? See, agriculture, fishing and gathering are the good examples. Mining. You get minerals from mining. This is also a natural process, alva. Natural resources. Minerals are also natural resources. Agriculture, fishing, gathering and this mining is also primary economic activity. Let us see in the picture. See, here you can see the primary activities. Agriculture, here is the animal rearing. Rearing of the animals is also a primary activity. Fishing, this is timbering and one is the mining. Let us discuss about the secondary activities. What are the secondary activities? See, these secondary activities is the processing of these resources. Which resources? These natural resources. The processing of the products which you get from the primary activities is known as the secondary activities. What are the some examples under? Manufacturing of the steel. You produce steel by processing the natural resources which you get from the minerals, mining, right? Baking of the bread. In bakery, bread is baked. You get the bread from wheat, right? This is a primary activities. Production of the wheat is the primary activities. Next example is the weaving of the cloth. You get cloth from silk, right? Silk is also natural produce which you produce from the primary activities. Let us discuss about the tertiary activities. These tertiary activities usually support the primary and secondary sectors through services. What are those services under? Transport, trade, baking, insurance and advertising are some of the examples for these tertiary activities. These services support primary and secondary sectors. See, let us see this in the picture. See, here you can see secondary sector, industry, energy and mining are the, these mining activities in primary sector, whereas processing of these minerals is grouped in the secondary sector. Tertiary services. What are the tertiary sector services under? See, hospital, taxi, communication, all these are included in the tertiary sector, tertiary economic activities. These tertiary economic activities usually support primary and secondary sectors. See, if you take an example, see, in primary sector, you produce some wheat, right? Produce wheat. In secondary sector, you use this wheat flour and produce bread. You bake the bread in secondary sector. Whereas to transport this bread into different shops, you need services such as this transport service, right? You need vehicle to transport this baked bread to different shops. This is the tertiary services provided by the tertiary economic activities to help primary and secondary sectors. This is how you can connect these sectors. Let us see what is agriculture. If you see the origin of the word agriculture is derived from the Latin word ager or agri, which means soil. It is a Latin word which means soil, and culture means cultivation. See, agriculture, right? Agriculture. It is the meaning of soil. Culture means cultivation. Cultivation in the soil is known as agriculture. This is the basic term. Agriculture is a primary activity. It includes growing of crops, fruits, vegetables, flowers, and rearing of the livestock is also a primary agriculture activity. In world, around 50% of the people, 50% of the persons are engaged in the agriculture activity only. So you can now know the importance of agriculture. We need food to survive. All these food comes from the agriculture only. 2/3 of the Indian population is primarily dependent on agriculture only. 2/3 means around 60%. See, more than 60% people in our India depends upon the agriculture activities. By this fact, you can know the importance of the agriculture. See, what are the few things which you need to know about the agriculture? Favorable topography of the soil and climate are the vital for agriculture activity. Soil should be very fertile and there should be a good climate for the production of any crops. Land on which the crops are grown is known as the arable land. There are two types of land. One is arable, another one is non-arable. Arable land is the land which is very suitable for production of the agriculture crops. The land on which crops are grown is known as the arable land. See, here in this map they have given the world distribution of the arable lands. See, these are this green color picture are the arable lands. In this small portion only you have to produce the crops which are required for the whole world, right? Do you know? See, here they have given some of the cultures and what does that mean. Agriculture, you know, it is the cultivation of the crops in soil, right? The science and art of cultivation on the soil, raising crops, rearing of the livestock is known as the agriculture. It is also called farming. Farming andru onde, agriculture andru same meaning. Sericulture means rearing of the silks. How we can remember? See, S comes here. Silkworm kuda S first word ade. Sericulture means silkworms. Here pisciculture means fish. Fish for really one piece. So PC piece, right? This is how you can remember. Breeding of the fish is known as pisciculture. Viticulture, viti andre wine anta, wine production. You get wine from the cultivation of the crops, right? Cultivation of grapes. Horticulture. ಹೂವು ಹಣ್ಣು ಅಂತ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಹೂವು ಹಣ್ಣು, ರೈಟ್? HH. Horticulture ಅಂದರೆ growing of the vegetables, flowers and fruits are for commercial purposes. This is known as horticulture. Let us now know about the farm system. Agriculture or farming. In agriculture or farming, what are some important inputs required andre seeds, fertilizers, machinery and labor. These four things are very important input for farm system or agriculture system. What are those? One is seed. You need seeds to sow, right? Fertilizers. These are important for chemicals which are necessary for growth of the plants. Another one is the machinery and another one is labor. These four things are very basic necessity for the production of crops. Here they have given the in picture farm system of arable land, right? What are the inputs? Machinery, seeds and chemicals. Process involves plowing, sowing and spraying. Plowing of the land, first step. Sowing of the seed is the second step, and spraying these chemicals are third step. You get crop. Output, what is the output on the crop? You get crops. What are some physical inputs on the sunshine, temperature, soil and rainfall, which you get naturally. Human inputs are storage, labor, machinery and chemicals. Some of the operations involved are plowing, sowing, irrigation, weeding and harvesting. These are the processes that are operations that are involved in the agriculture or farming system. The outputs which you get from the system is crops, wool, dairy and poultry products. All these are the output products which you get from farm system. Now let us know the types of farming. There are majorly two types of farming are there. Which one? Subsistence farming and another one is the commercial farming. Let us now discuss in detail what is subsistence farming and what is commercial farming. See, it is usually practiced to meet the needs of farmers' family only. This subsistence farming usually made or practiced to meet the needs of farmers' family only, not for the commercial purposes. You don't get much money from this subsistence farming. Traditionally, low levels of technology and household labors are used. Here, very low amount of technology used, and also only household labors are used. These are the characteristics of the subsistence farming on a small plot of land, only on a small plot of land, and also output is also very low. Why? Because farming is done here to meet the requirements of the family needs only. Small output also another characteristics of this farming. This farming can be further classified into intensive subsistence and primary subsistence. Let us now discuss what is intensive and primary subsistence farming. See, the term intensive means more, right? What is the meaning of intensive? More. Here, the farmer cultivates on a small plot of land. Here also a small plot of land is used using simple tools and more labor. See, here term intensive means more, right? Climate with large number of days with sunshine and fertile soils permits growing of more than one crop. This is very important. See, the intensive subsistence farming means growing more than one crop annually on the same plot of land. This is the meaning of the intensive. Intensive means more, right? Growing more than one type of crop in a particular annual season. That is known as intensive farming. Rice is the main crop here. See, other crops which are grown in this type of farming are wheat, maize, pulses and oilseeds. It is very much prevalent in thickly populated areas of the monsoon regions. Why? You get plenty of rainfall here. Monsoon regions of South, Southeast Asia and East Asia. These are the areas which are usually practice this intensive subsistence farming. Organic farming. See, in this type of farming, organic manure and natural pesticides are used instead of chemicals. You don't use manufactured or industrial chemicals. Here you use organic manure and natural pesticides. Another example for this natural pesticides, neem, leaves and seeds. These are some natural pesticides used in agriculture, this type of organic farming. Here there is also no genetic modification is done to increase the yield. Some farmers use HYV, high yield variety seeds. These are genetically modified seeds to grow to get more crop production. In this type of farming, there is no modification is done to increase the yield. Very natural type, basic type of farming, this organic farming. Now let us discuss what is primitive subsistence agriculture. It includes shifting cultivation and nomadic herding. Shifting cultivation, it is practiced in the thickly forested areas of Amazon basin, tropical Africa, parts of Southeast Asia and Northeast India. These areas, they may ask you in the exams, what are the areas which usually practices shifting cultivation. The forested areas of Amazon basin, tropical Africa, parts of Southeast Asia and Northeast regions of India. These are the areas which practices shifting cultivation. These areas are usually heavy rainfall areas and also quick generation of vegetation also found here. Here, what is the process involved in the shifting cultivation? Andre, a plot of land is cleared by the felling of the trees and burning them. Then the ashes are then mixed with the soil and crops like maize, yam, potatoes and cassava are grown here. See, I will show you in the picture. Here you can see a part of the land is selected, first area is selected, it is cleared first, land is selected and it is cleared, then this part is burnt, this ash is mixed with the soil, then this part of the land is used for cultivation of the crops. After the soil loses its fertility, after few crops you grow here, soil loses its fertility, then that land is abandoned, then it is left like that and the cultivators move to a new plot. The shifting cultivation is also known as slash and burn agriculture. Why? Here a plot of land is slashed and burnt first, then this plot is used. After this plot loses its fertility, they move into a new piece of land. That is why it is also known as slash and burn farming, slash and burn cultivation, also known as shifting cultivation. Do you know? See, this shifting cultivation is known by different names in different part of the world. What are those things? They have given few examples. You have to mug up these names. Zooming in Northeast India, this shifting cultivation is known as zooming. Milpa in Mexico, it is known as milpa. In Brazil, it is known as roca. In Malaysia, it is known as ladang. Now let us know what is nomadic herding. In this type of herding, it is practiced in the semi-arid and arid regions. Why? Here vegetation is very low. Rajasthan and Jammu and Kashmir, here vegetation is very low. That's why here nomadic herding is practiced. Here herdsman, usually see here you can see a man taking his camels. Here herdsman move from one place to another with their animals for fodder and food along the defined routes. This is done along the different defined routes. Why? These men know where the food and water required for the animals is available at a particular period of time. This type of movement arises in response to the climatic constraints and also terrain. Why these movements are arises means in response to the climatic constraints also terrain. Here some of the animals which are grown andre reared andre sheep, camel, yak and goats are most commonly reared animals in this type of farming, in this type of herding, right? You get milk, meat, wool, hides and other products from these animals. Now we have discussed subsistence farming till now. Here there are two types. One is primary subsistence, another one is the intensive subsistence farming. Now let us discuss commercial farming. In commercial farming, crops are grown and animals are reared for the sale in the market. Commercial means for sale in the market. You need money, right, to buy another products or the things which you need. If you need money, you have to sell your products in the market. That's why the crops which are grown and animals are reared for the sale in the market. Area cultivated and the amount of capital used is large here. For commercial purposes, you need more input here. So, cultivated area is also large and amount of the capital used is also very large. Most work is done by the machines here. Why? You need more crop production. That's why machines are used here. Commercial farming includes commercial grain farming, mixed farming and plantation agriculture. Now, let us discuss in detail what are these things. In commercial grain farming, crops are grown for commercial purposes to sell in the market. Here, crops are grown. Whereas in primary subsistence farming, you do these things for your own use. But in commercial farming, you do this farming for sale in the market. Wheat and maize, these are the commonly produced commercially grown crops. Major areas where commercially grain farming is done is temperate grasslands of North America, Europe and Asia. These are the regions where commercially grain farming is done. These areas are sparsely populated. Here population is very low, so that most of the lands are used for agriculture activities. With large farms spreading over hundreds of hectares in these regions, you get hundreds of hectares for crop production. Severe winters restrict the growing season. This is also another important characteristics. Only a single crop can be grown in these regions. Whereas in mixed farming, land is used for growing food, fodder crops and also rearing livestock. See, the term itself says it is a mixed farming. Here land is used for production of the food also and also rearing of the livestock. The same land is used for both things. That's why it is known as mixed farming. It is practiced in Europe, Eastern USA, Argentina, Southeast Australia, New Zealand and South Africa. You need not to mug up all these regions, just know 2 to 3 regions. That is enough for your exams. Now let us learn what is plantation. Plantations are type of commercial farming where a single crop of tea, coffee, sugarcane, cashew, rubber, banana or cotton are grown. Here large amount of labor and capital are required. This is the characteristics of plantation. Here large amount of labor and also capital is required. Produce may be processed on the farm itself or in nearby factories. Transport network is very important, very essential for this type of farming. What is that? For plantation farming, transport network is very much needed. Major plantations are found in tropical regions of the world. Rubber in Malaysia, coffee in Brazil, tea in India, Sri Lanka are some of the examples of major plantations in the world. Here you can see banana plantation. Now let us learn some of the major crops. Major food crops are wheat, rice, maize and millets. Jute and cotton are fiber crops. Important beverage crops are tea and coffee. Now let us learn its characteristics, where they are grown, what are the ideal conditions required for growth of these crops. Let us look at the rice cultivation. Rice is a major food crop of the world. See, it is a staple diet. What is the meaning of this staple diet? Means most of the people in that particular region uses this rice as the primary source of food. It is a staple diet of tropical and subtropical regions. See, this is very important. Rice needs high temperature, high humidity and rainfall. It needs very much high temperature, high humidity and rainfall most period of its growth. Where it is best grown andre alluvial clay soil. Why? This type of soil retains water. Rice needs more humidity and high rainfall, right? If you grow this rice in this type of soil, it retains most of the water which it gets. That's why this soil is very important for growth of this rice. China leads in the production of the rice. It is followed by the India, Japan and Sri Lanka. In favorable climatic conditions like in West Bengal and Bangladesh, 2 to 3 crops also grown in a particular annual season. Now let us look at the wheat. In all these type of farms or crops, what you need to remember andre regions where they are grown and also some of the few characteristics regions which they require for the cultivation this type of farming. For wheat requires moderate temperature and rainfall during the growing season and bright sunshine at the time of the harvest. This is also very important. They might ask you which is the very important requirement for the production of the wheat andre it requires moderate temperature and rainfall at the growing season, whereas it requires bright sunshine during the time of harvest. It thrives best in well-drained loamy soil which is required for the wheat production antandre loamy soil, whereas for rice production you need alluvial clay soil. Wheat is grown extensively in USA, Canada, Argentina. You can remember just 2 to 3 country names, that is enough. In India, it is grown in winter. This is very important. They may ask you in which season wheat is usually grown in India. The answer is wheat is generally grown in India during winter season. Now let us know about the millets. Millets are also known as the coarse grains. They are grown on less fertile and sandy soils. That's why this production of the millets is very important. Why? It requires very less fertile soil, a hardy crop that needs low rainfall and high to moderate temperature and adequate rainfall. What are the some of the examples for millets antandre? Jowar, bajra, ragi are grown in India. Jowar andre joda alva, bajra andre sajje. Ragi are grown in India. Other countries which produce these millets antandre Nigeria, China and Niger. Maize is also known as corn. You use this for many food items, right? Baby corn, corn manchuri, all these foods you get from the corn, maize. Maize requires moderate temperature, rainfall and lots of sunshine. This is the important characteristics or requirements for the production of the maize. What is this? You need moderate temperature, rainfall and lots of sun. Needs well-drained fertile soil. What are the regions under? North America, Brazil, India, Canada. These are the some regions which grow maize. Let us now know about the cotton. Cotton requires high temperature, light rainfall, 210 frost-free days. This is very important during its growth and bright sunshine for its growth. It grows best on black and alluvial soil. Cotton production antandre black and alluvial soil. This is best grown in China, USA and India. It provides main raw material for the cotton textile industry. Cotton is the main raw material for the cotton textile industry. You get cloths, right? You get cloths from cotton textile industries. Jute is also another fiber crop. Jute is known as the golden fiber because its color looks like golden fiber during its production or growth. It grows well on alluvial soils and it requires high temperature, heavy rainfall and humid climate. Grown in tropical areas, India and Bangladesh are the leading producers of the jute. You need to remember, India and Bangladesh are the leading producers of the jute. Coffee usually requires warm and wet climate and well-drained loamy soil. Hill slopes are most suitable for this coffee production. Brazil is the leading producer. See, you need to remember what are the leading countries which produces this type of crops. Coffee is extensively or highly grown in this Brazil. It is followed by the Colombia and India. Tea is also a beverage crop which is grown on plantations. It requires cool climate and well distributed high rainfall throughout the year for the growth of its tender leaves. Leaves are used in tea. Well drained loamy soils and gentle slope are required for the production of the tea. Labor in large numbers is required to pick up these leaves. Here you can see in this picture people are plucking the leaves of tender leaves of the tea plantation. Kenya, India and China are some of the examples. Agricultural development refers to efforts made to increase the farm production in order to meet the growing demands of the increasing population. As population around the world is growing, you need more number of produce of the food crops to meet the demand of the hugely increasing population. That is why we need agricultural development.